Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Stallions Run Week 4 as we're entering kind of the first episode of a Stallions loss in a long time. Uh, Only week 9 of the USFL Season 1 have we seen a loss happen for our Stallions. And of course, this week's loss against the New Orleans Breakers was not one that really a lot of people were expecting because, well, it looked like all the numbers were there. New Orleans didn't have two great performances again, and when there were two wins. Again, there were wins, but not exactly great. And now the Stallions were not exactly blown out, but a 45 to 31 loss. A lot of bad plays, a lot of just moments away from possibly kind of getting the game back in their hands, and that led to a lot of people kind of wondering what happened to the Stallions team, from week 2 to week 3. So let's kind of talk about that and more. One, defense was not at 100%. The Stallions' defense for the past 2 weeks, absolutely perfect as much as they needed. Few mistakes week 1, chemistry, everyone thought they showed out week 2, of course, allowing 0 points on that Memphis offense. Maybe we got a little too overblown with how Memphis is, but at the same time, it's very clear that yeah, maybe things weren't 100% always. So the offense with the Stallions, it was very hit or miss for me. Of course, you had the Kane, return TD to open the game. First play TD already 7 points on the board, and then New Orleans manages to go down the field. They get 7 points, and we're tied. And I feel like it just became so much like boom, 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 boom. And the Stallions defense just kind of folded. And I think the Stallions offense just got tired because that it wasn't great. It was just, it felt like the Stallions were just there. I don't know, maybe it was the early start time, maybe because there wasn't, there's still a lot of fans there, but you could tell that the early start time definitely kind of kept some people away from the stadium. And then you just kind of had this happen. It's just like, it wasn't a great game as a Stallions fan. I was on the field. If you happen to see the video, you'll find it in our shorts. I literally the Devon Davis, catch that brought them within like the 15 yards of the red zone. I managed to catch that. That happened right in front of me. You can see my perspective. I filmed that, so be sure to go check out the short if you haven't already. But it's like those big plays would happen. They would then get the points, but the next drive, none of those big plays would happen. Whenever the big plays happened, sometimes they got stuff, sometimes they didn't, and it was too much of a coin flip. I guess my point is the Stallions needed to capitalize on those big plays, and they never really did capitalize on them. Now, again, could be we're seeing a really good New Orleans team this year, really good. There's a reason they're 3-0. Even though I think they've had two weak opponents, they're still good, and that's something that we should not discredit as Stallions fans, and we should be kind of looking forward to, and we should be we should consider ourselves very lucky that we're getting to play them again at home, instead of having to go into New Orleans or possibly lose New Orleans and having to come back to Birmingham. It's just okay. We get to I think everyone's got week 6 basically circled. We're going to be kind of, wanting a bounce back then because that's going to be important. It is. But still, Steins, this feels like a potential refresh with this upcoming matchup. And let's kind of get into it. So next for our Stallions, they are traveling to Canton, Ohio to play the Pittsburgh Maulers. This will be the first official away game that is not neutral site, that is a clear away game for the Stallions. And I feel like this is a really good opportunity. It's not, you don't have to worry about, facing Michigan and Michigan quite yet. But you get to kind of get used to the idea of, okay, we are not in Birmingham anymore. We're not in a neutral site. This is actually an away game. And I feel like Pittsburgh's kind of the perfect team for that because Pittsburgh, they just get their first win over Philadelphia. They're starting to maybe put some stuff together. This is the perfect time for the Stallions to kind of regroup, and I think there's a really good chance that they could beat Pittsburgh, even though Pittsburgh just gets that big win over Philadelphia. This is still, a chance for the Stallions to kind of put everything together. If I'm Skip Holtz, what I do is I am looking at what I have. It looks like Scooby Wright potentially is going to be coming back for this game. That's a big get for the offense to have a linebacker like him back. Again, Alex McGough. I feel like there's those big hits that he got really affected his game. Jalen Morton did come in for the end of one series, and then Magoo was right back in. So again, hopefully we get a 100% Magoo that we don't have any problems with no hits that maybe affected anything. So that's something to maybe keep an eye on also. And we could also possibly be seeing Kyle Slaughter play a couple of series. Again, we do not have the inactives yet, so we do not know who's in, who's out. Kyle was inactive for week 3. But again, if you happen to see the picture I posted, when Magoo was hitting, people thought possibly there's an injury there. He did get the helmet. He was kind of ready to go in case, he has to play backup now for Jalen Moore. So we could possibly see Slaughter play in week 4 against Pittsburgh. What I'm also looking for is Condre White getting him back, kind of where he was week 2. I'm looking at Marble. I'm just running was not the greatest for the Stallions. They need to kind of fix. That's one thing I would try to fix, work with that game. And then finally, also, special teams was good. Defense, there was a couple problems, but that's maybe New Orleans has a great offense. One, you got to also have your passing going at 100%. That is something that against New Orleans, again, different defense, so maybe things are different, with Pittsburgh. But here's the thing: Pittsburgh has a really good defense. You don't have to worry about their offense as much, but you still have to worry about that defense. Again, former Alabama standout Reuben Foster is a part of this Pittsburgh Maulers defense. You should be concerned when you have to play him. And luckily, the Stallions only have to play him for this one game, so that is something to kind of watch for. If I'm Alex McGough, I'm throwing that ball out of my hand. I'm handing it off real quick. I'm hoping my O-line gives me enough time to do that, and they are stopping that man because again, the Pittsburgh defense very, very, very good. So, kind of my keys: 1, quick gameplay. You need to be quick against this Pittsburgh defense. Cannot be slow. Cannot hope things are just going to work out. You have to throw that ball or you have to run that ball or you're going to rush it yourself. 2, make sure, keep the Pittsburgh offense in check. They are really good at special teams. Chris Blewett set the USFL record for kicks. Something to watch for. Just keep this team kind of keep the Pittsburgh offense down. They'll stay down. Very easy. And then lastly, again, simple. Get everyone kind of at 100%. Don't try to be there all the way. Don't allow these big hits to happen where players feel like they're not at 100. They're not there. So that's kind of my keys for this game. All right, we'll see you next week, everybody. Very interested to see how the Stallions react to their first away game back in Canton, but a lot of Pittsburgh fans. So very excited to see what happens. We'll see you next week.